There we are. All right, let's see. Let's see what we got. I need to check my own pile. I don't remember if I have any business tagged here. Let's see, actually. I think we did that. That I don't think we did. That's from yesterday. Cuban officials say the country's national electrical grid has collapsed, leaving the entire nation without electricity. 10 million people. I don't know if they've since restored it, but geez. Oh yeah, and then, you know, just a little Bert. Oh. Someone fart?
أتعبكم بالحصريات. أتعبكم بالحصريات. أقول لك أنا شباب. أختم.
Pretty wild. Taking out where was this? Baghdad. Okay. Now back to the pile. All right. Senate holding a test vote. Ah, so that's what's going on today. A testy poo. I hope their testy poo goes well. We'll find out. Top Iranian official Ali Larijani and Basij commander Gomalbud. I'm not even going to try it. Well, I guess I did, but I'm done. I'm going to move on. Were killed in a series of overnight strikes, Israel's defense minister confirms.
According to Israel's defense minister Israel Katz, top Iranian official Ali Larijani is dead. He was killed in a strike overnight. According to Israel's defense minister, this was probably the most significant strike you could describe it in the past week and a half, as the Israelis and the Americans are going after the structure of Iran's regime. Larijani was largely considered the de facto leader in the aftermath of the killing of Iran's former supreme leader, and uncertain questions about Mojtaba Khamenei, the man who was elected to be the next supreme leader. Larijani was serving as the secretary to Iran's Supreme National Security Council. I can also report overnight the Israelis, in a separate strike, killed the top commander of Iran's Basij forces. This is a wing of the IRGC. His name is Ghulam Reza Soleimani, and he was responsible for commanding the crackdown on protesters earlier this year across Iran. An official tells me this morning that over a dozen Basij officials were with him when that strike took place, taking out this top commander. It comes as the Israelis have launched a series of airstrikes alongside their American counterparts across Iran over the past 24 hours. You can see some of these strikes on Sunday, this new video released by the IDF. They are expected to intensify and increase in the hours and days ahead.
Appeals court allows Trump to swiftly deport migrants to third countries. Oh, so if the first one turns them down, well, obviously we're the first one. So I guess the second one. If the second one turns them down, and we get to just, you know, their home country doesn't want them back, then we just get to like chuck them somewhere else. Okay, I'm good with that. National Counterterrorism Director Joe Kent. Oh yeah, he resigned. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, he resigned. National Counterterror Director Joe Kent resigns from Tulsi Gabbard's office because of the Iran war. I think it's something to do with a family member of his that passed or something. He's got some personal baggage with the matter that just didn't sit right with him. I guess. Let's see. I cannot in good conscience continue to support the... here it comes again. I swear the campaign will start working through you guys. It'll start soon. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. I think he mentioned somewhere in here, lost his wife Shannon in a war manufactured by Israel. I'm not sure which one that's referring to exactly, but I cannot support sending the next generation off to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people, nor justifies the cost of American lives. I pray that you will reflect upon what we are doing in Iran and who we are doing it for. The time for bold action is now. You can reverse course and chart a new path for our nation, or you can allow us to slip further toward decline and chaos. You hold the cards. Addressed to President Trump. It was an honor to serve in your administration and to serve our great nation. Huh. Interesting. Comer subpoenas Pam Bondi over Epstein files. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh joy. That just sounds jolly good fun. The committee has questions regarding the Department of Justice's handling of the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein and his associates, and its compliance with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Huh. Well, I wonder where that could go. Definitely a bit unexpected. Okay, Trump has just announced he's withholding his endorsement from any Republican senator who votes against the SAVE Act. I mean, that should have been obvious right off the bat, but all right.
It's been about 2 years since Chip Roy and I wrote the SAVE Act, which later became the Save America Act. Tomorrow, this is going to come to fruition as the Save America Act comes to the floor of the United States Senate. I invite all within the sound of my voice who would like this bill to become law to reach out to as many people as possible, friends, neighbors, especially United States senators who might listen to you. Ask them, please get this passed. Tell them we need to invoke the talking filibuster in the United States Senate. No zombie filibuster will suffice on this one. We've got to turn to this bill, we've got to debate it, and we've got to stay on the bill until it becomes law. There can be no surrender, there can be no ifs, ands, or buts, there can be no cheap imitations here. The Republic is on the line. Let's get this done. It's been about 2 years since Chip Roy and I wrote the SAVE.
Okay. Oh. John Solomon, U.S. intel holds secret evidence that China accessed voter files. Well.
And today we have a bombshell, something that has been kept from you for nearly 6 years.
Ooh.
In as early as February of 2020, the United States intelligence community determined that China had breached U.S. voter registration data, had gained access to the data that voters used to register to vote in the 2020 election. Now remember, we've been told time and time again there were no foreign interferences in the 2020 election. But the U.S. intelligence community absolutely concluded that China had done this. They had several reports involving several states. Now, we don't know this yet because anyone in the Trump administration has declassified that information. They may soon do so. We've asked them to, and I believe they're honestly working on it. We know this because we were able to get a document that was declassified by the Biden administration that referred to these findings in April of 2020. It is a National Intelligence Council memo. If you go over to justthenews.com right now, the story just moved a few minutes ago. You can download that document and read it yourself. Page 3, paragraph 2, a single sentence that says that China began accessing voter registration data in hopes of analyzing American public opinion in the 2020 election. Now, we have several intelligence officials confirming that this has been covered up for years. The only person ever to refer to it was the current CIA director, then the director of national intelligence under President Trump in 2020, who made reference to China's extensive intrusions on the 2020 election, accusing the CIA at the time of not paying enough attention to it. Now he's the director of the CIA, John Ratcliffe is, but you will see all of the data. There are memos, interviews, open source intelligence that would guide you to all of the facts, all on the record. It is a pretty big story. Go check it out at justthenews.com.
Yep. Ratcliffe. Trump participating in Friends of Ireland luncheon. Oh yeah, isn't it St. Paddy's Day or whatever? Yeah.
Ready to?
I'd say
Great honor to have Taoiseach Martin,
Taoiseach.
Ireland, and somebody that we know, we get along with. We've had a very good relationship, and we continue, and we're going to have some big discussions today concerning trade, concerning lots of different subjects. We have a tremendous trade relationship with Ireland, and we'll keep it that way. I think it's going to be expanded very greatly. Probably they want to talk a little bit about tariffs, but I won't mention that. We won't bring that up. But you might want to be discussing that a little bit. But it's an honor to have you, and thank you very much for being here. Thank you. It's a great much help, and we don't need any help, actually. In fact, we just put out a notice. I was
Get him with the green tie, man.
watching over the last couple of weeks, and all of our NATO allies were very much in favor of what we did. They thought it was very important. We were just discussing it, actually. Very important that we take out the nuclear threat from Iran, and we've done that very strongly, very powerfully. We've wiped out their Navy, wiped out their military in every aspect. Their Air Force is now decimated. They have no Air Force, no Navy. They have no radar. Their radar is entirely gone. Their anti-aircraft machinery is gone. Everything is gone. Their leaders are gone. I guess one of their top person was, they say, a lot of people say their actual top was killed.
They say that their top person is a homosexual.
Yes,
They say he's gay.
today, along with somebody else who was responsible for the killing, the man that was responsible for the killing of 32,000 people over the last 2 weeks. He was in charge of the killing of protesters. It's an evil group. I mean, they've killed much more than 32,000 people. And the man who was responsible for that was also killed yesterday. And all of the NATO allies agreed with us. But they don't want to, despite the fact that we helped them so much, we have thousands of soldiers in different countries all over the world, and they don't want to help us, which is amazing. I mean, amazing. And I didn't do a full court press because I think if I did, they probably would be. But we don't need help. That war has been long prosecuted, as far as I'm concerned, almost from day one. We knocked out many of these things. We knocked out the Navy essentially in a couple of days. But I was surprised to see that NATO while they agree that it was a very important thing to do, they agree fully. Nobody said, "Oh, you shouldn't do it." They would have had a nuclear weapon within 1 month of when we had the B-2 bombers bomb the nuclear potential. I call it the nuclear dust. So I think NATO's making a very foolish mistake. And I've long said that, I wonder whether or not NATO would ever be there for us. So this was a great test, because we don't need them, but they should have been there. The other thing is, and I think, very important, we didn't have to be there for Ukraine. Biden chose to spend hundreds of billions of dollars on Ukraine. And I guess the head of Germany just made a statement that, well, they weren't involved and they have nothing to do with the war. But at the same time, they think we did a great thing by knocking them out. Nobody wants to have Iran, or anybody, but nobody wants to have Iran with a nuclear, because these people are crazy. They're absolutely crazy, and they're vicious, violent. I mean, they kill, think of it. They killed, now I hear it's about 41,000 people. They put out a notice 2 days ago. Anybody that protests will be immediately shot and killed. That's pretty tough stuff. So everyone agrees with us, but they don't want to help. And we as the United States have to remember that, because we think it's pretty shocking.
All right. Excuse me. Do. POTUS on and NATO members declining to assist in the Iran operations.
NATO for not supporting you on
Oh, who's saying no, huh?
any repercussions. Well, no, I just think that it's not good for a partnership when they say what you're doing is a great thing, but we're not going to help. They say what you did is a great thing, but we're not going to help. NATO for not.
Okay.
Well, I read his statement. I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always
I don't know who this is in reference to.
thought he was weak on security, very weak on security. I didn't know him well, but I thought he seemed like a pretty nice guy.
Oh, Joe Kent?
But when I read his statement, I realized that it's a good thing that he's out, because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was. The question is whether or not they wanted to do something about it. And many people, many of the greatest military scholars are saying for years that presidents should have taken out Iran because they wanted a nuclear weapon. They were, if we didn't do the attack, or if, I'll go a step further, if I didn't terminate the Iran nuclear deal given to us, one of the worst deals ever made by Barack Hussein Obama. Remember when they sent Boeing 757s over there, loaded with cash, hundreds of millions of dollars? You would have been very happy. This was a wonderful, they said hundreds of millions. People forget that. Does anybody remember? Right? You remember. Hundreds of millions of dollars in a Boeing 757. I think they had two of them loaded. They took the seats out and they put cash. And that there wasn't a bank in Virginia, Maryland, or D.C. that had any money left. They stripped them of all their money.
Balance of cash.
Put it into place. Sent it to Iran almost as ransom.
Yep.
That's not going to happen with Trump. And nobody ever did anything about it. Nobody ever said anything about it. Can you imagine if I did that? So they've been a threat for a long time. But they've really been a threat. If I didn't terminate Obama's horrible deal that he made, the Iran nuclear deal, you would have had a nuclear war 4 years ago. You would have had nuclear holocaust, and you would have had it again if we didn't bomb the site. So when somebody is working with us that says they didn't think Iran was a threat, we don't want those people, because, and there are some people, I guess, that would say that, but they're not smart people or they're not savvy people. Iran was a tremendous threat. And virtually every NATO nation, and this is the thing, if they told me it wasn't a threat, and therefore they don't want to help, but when they say it was a threat, and it was a major threat, every one of them, I think every one of them, I don't know of one that said they're not a threat, but when they say it was a threat, but we're not going to help, I think they're very foolish.
Shit. All right. Well, all right. I remember what I didn't cover. Stuff I didn't tag that I meant to tag. Let me see if I can find it. From the world of AI, just this morning. This is going some freaky places really quick. Really quick. Look at this. Just look at this. This is nuts. Oh, thank you, honey. So this is the latest in 3D gaming technology, released as of this morning from NVIDIA at their big worldwide international yearly, sometimes multi-yearly, I think, conference, where they discuss their latest tech, increasingly, of course, focus on AI, et cetera, et cetera. So at the keynote this morning, their CEO, Jensen Huang, dropped this, which is the latest tech for their graphics cards. This is what home computer GPUs will be able to do. Well, now. This is before. This is without the tech. Heading very, 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 very quickly in the direction of simulated worlds, like, indistinguishable from reality. Clearly not quite there yet, but this is such a massive leap, it's like, it's scary. Almost. And this is being done by layering generative AI tech on top of 3D generation. So they're using generative AI in real time to kind of layer on top of, simulated 3D graphics. Look at that. Or telling you, man, give it. Just think of where that's going to be, even in just another year. Let alone 2 years, 3 years, just 5. But then, in fact, within the year, they'll have that incorporated into VR headsets. Soon enough, it'll be Neuralink. I don't even want to think about the implications of that shit, dude. Nope. Nope. Fascinating, terrifying, really cool, all at once. Seems to be the case with a lot of this stuff. All right. Where were we here? I think we just did that one. Iran is just a military operation to me. Iran is something that was essentially largely over in 2 or 3 days because the Navy was wiped out almost immediately. Yeah, it was just pretty quick. Oh, speaking of the rest of the conference, I see a lot of you out there talking about med beds. That's still a dream for now, but that is very quickly going to become a reality in probably. I mean, I don't want to guess at the time frame, but within our lifetime, certainly. probably sooner rather than later. I mean, I don't think it's going to start out quite as what everyone's hoping, but just basic stuff. I think I've seen already the kind of like the beginnings of it. These big like full body scan MRI machines that'll scan your whole body for cancer, and that's the beginning right there of the concept. So it's coming. Minds are thinking about it. Wouldn't count on it too soon, but the focus right now, from tuning into that conference, which I have been on and off all day, and will be for the next 3 days. We're about to see some insane changes, like in the next year. Bonkers stuff. Business from big to small is about to get completely upended and just completely changed. The way everyone has to do business, unfortunately, for better or worse. Yeah, about to change big time. That was clear. In fact, if you're looking for something to do at any point next few days, highly recommend going to watch his keynote from today. Skip through the boring parts. You'll see some fascinating stuff if you're into computers like me, a little bit. But sprinkled in there, you'll get a peek at where things are going, and you should probably do your best to kind of keep abreast of where this is going, because it's going to happen fast. It's going to happen real fast, real quick. Let me see if I can find any clips from that today. Any big ones making the rounds? Well, OpenClaw was the highlight. Mentioned that to you guys a couple weeks ago. Been playing with this for a couple weeks. This was like the highlight of the conference.
And
it was everywhere.
About something new.
This is pretty nuts. Yeah, listen to this.
So Peter Steinberger's here, and he wrote a piece of software. It's called OpenClaw, and I don't know if he realized how successful it's going to be, but the importance is profound. OpenClaw is the #1, it's the most popular open source project in the history of humanity, and it did so in just a few weeks.
This piece of software is already completely about it. I mean, it's in the process right now of completely changing the way business works everywhere. In this country, in China. China's adopting even faster than we are. NVIDIA announced like their enterprise version of it, basically also open source, so anyone can adopt it, assuming you have the tech. But look at that chart. That's a picture of how rapid the adoption is. These yellow and blue lines are the other top pieces of open source software over the last 30 years. Linux, the blue line, and then Facebook React, the yellow line. I mean, Linux has been around, as he said, for 30 years. 30 freaking years. And this thing topped it in a matter of like a couple weeks. More people have downloaded it than have ever downloaded Linux ever. Which is crazy, because Linux is like the backbone of, well, everything. It's like a lot. It's crazy.
It exceeded what Linux did in 30 years. And it's that important. It is that important. It will do, well, this is all you do. Okay, we're announcing our support of it. Let me just quickly go through this. I want to show you a couple things. You simply type this. You type this into a console, and
it onboards itself onto your machine. I wouldn't go doing that, just FYI. That's for like enterprise stuff. It's their enterprise version of OpenClaw. I would not touch it. Wouldn't touch any of this if you have no clue what I'm talking about. But you watch. If you haven't seen it in the news headlines yet, you're going to. It is going to completely reshape the way business functions. For better or worse. A lot of ways better. A lot of ways probably not. Hopefully the balance, though, is for the better. We'll see.
Pretty much the very near future. Not ready to leave yet, but we'll be leaving in the near future. We'll be leaving in pretty much the very near future. But right now they've been decimated from every standpoint. And again, we've had great support from countries in the Middle East, great support. But we've had no support from, essentially, no support from NATO. We're not ready to leave yet, but we'll be leaving.
Freeze period in YouTube chat says I heard from several tech guys OpenClaw is garbage. It is a security nightmare, which is probably what they're talking about. And just generally speaking, a setup nightmare. So if you're not like a tech nerd, you are, and even if you are, you're still going to get lost. But that said, if you can get it set up, which I have, it's nuts, man. It is the opposite of garbage. It is like mind-blowing. Completely changed the way I think about computers and where things are going and what can be done with them. It's really something. So don't listen to people telling you it's garbage, because it's so much more than just garbage. It is absolutely a security nightmare, and probably dangerous if you're not careful. So there's that, but it is 100% revolutionary, no doubt. More with the Irish. This is just, I'm sorry, it's just so boring. POTUS response to Irish politicians critical of the Iran operation. All right, why not?
The Irish president has said that your war against Iran is illegal. It's an attack on international law.
Who said that?
The Irish president.
Look, he's lucky I exist. That's all I can say. Because if you're going to allow countries that are sick and demented, and they are demented, to have nuclear weapons, everybody in the whole world should be very thankful. And I'm disappointed in NATO, very disappointed. I'm disappointed in a couple of other countries too. But they should be very thankful that this group of people feels the way we do. Because if a country like Iran was allowed to have the power of a nuclear weapon, if we didn't stop them, I stopped them twice. I stopped them my first term when I terminated the Iran nuclear deal, which was Barack Obama's deal. It was one of maybe the worst deal I've ever seen. It gave everything to Iran, including billions of dollars in green cash. I don't mean cash. I mean green cash flown over by airplanes. I can't to this day believe that was allowed to happen. And come to think of it, it would be a good thing for somebody to look at. Does the president have the power to hand hundreds of millions of dollars of cash to terrorists? But it began with that, and I terminated that deal. If I didn't terminate that deal, we might not be here right now. If I didn't terminate that deal, unbelievable nuclear holocaust would have taken place. And then I did it a second time when we hit them with the B-2 bombers, and we totally obliterated their potential nuclear weapon that they would have had in less than 1 month. They think 2 weeks, but in less than 1 month.
VTG 100 asks, what does it do, the claw thing? OpenClaw is like, I don't know what you would even call it, but it lets you It lets you like basically use a chatbot to pilot your computer, essentially. So it gives whatever chatbot you choose, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or one of the non-cloud ones, something you run locally, whatever. You hook it into the thing, and it will basically let that chatbot use your computer however you tell it to. If you tell it to dig through a folder and look at all the files in there, classify them, organize them, it'll do that. You tell it to search your entire computer for any files containing the word butt nugget, it'll do that and delete any files that contain the word butt nugget. I mean, it's fantastic. Highly useful. I mean, you gotta clean up those butt nugget files every so often. So of course, anyway, you get the picture. Like it can do basically anything that you can do and a lot more with the computer, which can get really dangerous really quickly, as you might imagine. Because it can delete stuff, like including things you maybe don't want it to delete. It opens up, say, channels for bad actors to connect to your brand new shiny fancy chatbot that can do anything on your computer. Have them sending messages to it, doing anything they want on your computer. That's where it gets dangerous. But if you know how to lock it down and prevent, outside access and whatnot, and you set it up well, you don't give it access to your personal info, and so on and so forth, your bank accounts, et cetera, that's where people get into trouble. So if you have like an old computer that is like junked out and, you can wipe the hard drive and do a completely fresh install, and you know your way around a computer a little bit, I would recommend kind of just messing around with it a little bit. It's again, changed the way I look at computers completely. Fascinating stuff. The second I got it going, like for the first time, like it clicked. Like, oh man, there's so many things I could do with this. So many things. Like you name it, it can do it. Like if you wanted to look at posts while you're sleeping and then write up a report for you, ready and waiting in your email in the morning, it'll do that. If you want it to post on the internet, it'll do that. You are about to, just FYI, see an explosion of that. It's already all over Reddit. It is everywhere on Reddit. People just haven't really gotten it yet. There's been a rash of accounts appearing on Reddit pitching software to people, and it's all OpenClaw bots building software for their owners, for their humans, going on to Reddit and then trying to sell it to people, like trying to pitch it to people. And that's going to carry through to every platform out there. It's all over X already, all over the place. I'm sure it's going to be in. I mean, a lot of YouTube channels are run by OpenClaw now. It's everywhere. It is nuts. Just did a search. My PC has no butt nuggets. That's good. It's good. Good to know. You got to check. All right. Speaking at the Friends of Ireland luncheon.
As part of this great celebration, we also honor 250 years of cherished Irish-American friendship and 250 years of fierce, proud, tenacious Irish-American heritage. These are incredible people. Oh, I know so many Irish. They're difficult, though, They're very difficult. And they're great politicians. I was just told, right, that 23 American presidents have some Irish blood in them, right? Some a little bit, and some a lot, right? That's a pretty big number. I don't think and nobody else competes with that. But out of the 56 signers of our Declaration of Independence, 11 were patriots with roots in Ireland. Back in July 4th, 1776, it was a son of Ireland who actually printed that sacred document for the first time. Who knew that? And it was also an Irishman who first read its immortal words to the American public, proclaiming aloud that we are all made free and equal by the hand of our Creator and endowed by God with rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That came out of the blood of Ireland. Somebody said very frankly, they could leave today and it would take 10 years to rebuild the damage that's been done. But I think we have to make it a little bit more permanent because no other president has to go through this, and we shouldn't have any other president having to go through this kind of a thing. And if they didn't want to do it, if for some reason they didn't want to do it, we'd have the same problem. We don't ever want to have that problem again, not with lunatics. We can't have lunatics controlling nuclear weaponry. So I just want to thank everybody. Frankly, as somebody said, they could leave today. Either. I thought he was a super wasp. Well, I didn't know about your Italian roots either. I thought he was a super wasp. You know, to me...
Super wasp.
No, to me, Mike was always a wasp. Now I learned that this is serious Italian stuff, right? Well, that'll be good for you, I think. You know, his image has changed a hell of a lot very quick. He's great. Well, I didn't know about your Italian roots.
Hospice money.
Oh boy, Shirley's in Cali, huh? I haven't seen this yet. Been meaning to watch it. Haven't seen it yet, but maybe we'll come back to that if we run out of materials. Senator Kenny has everyone cracking up on the floor here, dropping this line on Prime Minister Starmer.
He also is trying to give President Trump advice about how to conduct the war. That's a little bit like seeking the advice of a nun about sex.
Can't do that.
Starmer's the last person you would want to go to advise you about how to have a military confrontation. He's the kind of guy that he'll want to quote, if you're in the middle of a bar fight, he'll want to stop and quote Socrates. That's what this is, a bar fight. He also is trying
Guy, holy crap, city of Social Circle. What? There's a city called the City of Social Circle? Georgia? Just cut off all water to an ice warehouse that's set to be turned into a detention center for illegal aliens. Bye-bye. Local officials are literally trying to shield illegals from being removed from the U.S. by any means necessary. By cutting off water from the facility that will hold them? Yeah.
All right, Diamante, thanks for that. Leaders in Social Circle continue to fight against an incoming immigration and customs facility that was recently purchased by the Department of Homeland Security. The city's manager, Eric Taylor, telling Atlanta News First that water to the warehouse purchased by DHS along East Hightower Trail has been cut off. He says it will remain that way until DHS is able to tell leaders how water and sewer will be served without crushing the city's limited infrastructure capacity. The facility is expected to house up to 10,000 people, which would be double the population of Social Circle. And Social Circle is one of 2 cities in Georgia where the agency plans to build inmate detention centers. The other would be in Oakwood, that's in Hall County.
Senator John Barrasso on GOP voter ID bill, the SAVE Act. Oh man, this is long. This is like 10 minutes of him dragging on. I don't know. Maybe we'll come back to it. Oil has begun flowing through a pipeline near Santa Barbara, California for the first time in more than a decade. Wow. After the Trump admin ordered offshore production to resume. Not bad. Jasmine Crockett, the loser. Bye-bye. Defends her security guard who was killed in in a police standoff, huh? Wanted for impersonating a cop. Dang, where'd you hire him at? Virginia parents absolutely furious with the state Democrats that protected an adult illegal alien who has been groping high school girls on school grounds. ICE demanding that the sheriff comply with ICE detainer. A dozen victims said this took place all year.
As a junior at Fairfax,
and nothing was done.
High School, about a dozen victims have come forward saying that this has been taking. Israel Flores Ortiz enrolled as a junior at
a junior. He's a junior.
Fairfax High School.
Boy, someone got held back once or twice.
About a dozen victims have come forward saying that this has been taking place all school year long, but that nothing was done until March 5th when Fairfax City Police confirmed they were notified, writing in part, the case was investigated and charges were obtained for 9 counts of assault and battery on March 6th. He's currently being held without bond. Now, Homeland Security officials, though, are calling on Fairfax County to honor an ICE detainer and not release Ortiz back into the community, adding, unfortunately, Governor Abigail Spanberger ended cooperation with ICE and is siding with criminal illegal aliens over American citizens. Governor Spanberger's office has not responded to multiple requests for comment, but concerns over release follow a series of high-profile cases. Israel Flores Ortiz enrolled.
GOP hopeful looks to upset Tish James. New York tired of the lawlessness. Well, they've been tired before, and that hasn't stopped them yet. Cuba facing its, number 3 major blackout over the past 4 months.
Into this war with Iran, and the president is now setting his sights on Cuba, floating the idea of taking it over, saying, quote, I think I could do anything I want with it. It comes, as you mentioned, as the country deals with an island-wide blackout after Cuba's energy grid collapsed. The Cuban government blaming the United States for food and gas shortages after the U.S. cut off access to Venezuelan oil. But the threats by President Trump are just the latest example of a more aggressive foreign policy than the president originally campaigned on. He pledged to keep America out of foreign conflicts, but it was just months ago that the United States captured Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro. Just weeks ago, the United States launched war in the Middle East, and the president has also threatened to seize control of not only Cuba, but also Greenland, too. 3 weeks into this war with Iran, and the president is now setting his sights on Cuba.
All right. Two-star general under Joe Biden got drunk and left classified maps behind on a train in Poland.
Starting with this shocking story here, a new report from the War Department's Inspector General says that an Army general who oversaw Ukraine under President Biden left classified maps and information behind on a train in Europe, exposing the sensitive material for at least 24 hours. The report says the general, a 2-star head of command who has since retired, was also found to have sustained a concussion following a night of heavy drinking.
Oops.
Leading to his confusion the next day when he lost the documents.
Must have been a good night.
Starting with this.
And a bad morning. Yeah, he ended up concussed after overindulgence in alcohol. I don't know what Obama is up to, but something.
Okay, I need my phone back. We're so excited to talk to you about the Obama presidential Senate today. Got it. Hold on one second. I can't believe I'm still dealing with this.
I've got some unfinished business.
Oh, you want some of this? Okay, I need my phone back.
Oh yeah, he's a real big man.
We're so excited to talk.
I've got some unfinished
Hey there, fella. You want some of this?
business.
If. All right, what this? Trump spilling the beans on Congressman's diagnosis. Who?
Congressman Neil Dunn of Florida had real health challenges, and it was very serious, and had a pretty grim diagnosis. And I mentioned it to the president, and I said, Congressman Dunn is a real champion and a patriot because he's still coming to work. And if others got this diagnosis, they would be apt to go home and retire. And
What was the diagnosis?
It was, I think it was a terminal diagnosis.
He would be dead by June.
Okay, that wasn't public, but yeah, okay, that's. It was grim. That's what I was going to say. I don't think
with
he
a
would
heart
mind.
problem, by the way. This was a heart problem.
So, the long story short, the president called him to encourage him and thank him, and they had a conversation. And the president mentioned, in the course of the conversation, you know how to get my doctors involved, and they did. And within a number of hours, they took him to Walter Reed Emergency Surgery. The man has a new lease on life. He acts like he's 30 years younger, and he walked into the conference meeting, and we thought we'd seen a ghost. And I spoke with him over the weekend, and he's encouraged and thankful, and he thanks the president for his leadership and intervention. And
That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
He actually called, Mike called me and he said, sir, we're up by 3, but we're going to lose 1 by June. I said, who? Neil Dunn. He's a great congressman. Incredible. He called to say that he was terminal, really bad heart. There's nothing they can do. I said, that's bad. Number 1, it was bad because I liked him. Number 2, it was bad because I needed his vote. But he really said, Mike, I'm going to last this out for the president and you, and however long I live, I mean, it looks like June is the time, but however long I live, I'm going to be voting for you. I mean, how many people are going to say that? Most of them are going to say, Mike, I'm retiring immediately. That's the end.
He's an extraordinary
But
man.
he didn't do that. It was really impressive. And then I realized I have doctors in the White House. The White House doctors are incredible. And they've helped me with other people. They're helping me with people right now. People that are very sick are like they're miracle workers. And I said, I have to call them. And I called the 2 doctors. They're both great. And they immediately went over.
Oh, oops. Oh, well. Anyway, you get the point. Steve Witkoff to brief bipartisan group of senators on Iran today. Gavin Newsom losing sleep now. Why again? Now that his state is once again under the spotlight over, all the fraud.
About the integrity of California's elections. An investigation is underway over a video appearing to show people in the state being paid to sign other voters' names on political campaign petitions. Senior national correspondent William LaJeunesse shows us from Los Angeles.
Hey, what's the line for? Get $25 to sign a petition. They get $25? $5.
What the man describes is illegal, paying people to sign a petition for a ballot measure.
Did you have to have your ID? I'm not sure.
Homeless and others lined up last week in San Francisco, apparently to collect $5 to sign a petition to qualify 2 initiatives for the November ballot. One to fight a tax on billionaires, the other on pension reform.
I get $5 too?
Yeah.
And what is it?
Just sign it.
Not only that, she appears to want them to impersonate another voter. In this case, an 81-year-old woman who lives more than 200 miles away.
First name is going to be Carol, last name. This is the address right here, Mississippi City, Avila Beach.
It's fraud when you get these petitioner gatherers who make anywhere from $8 to $15 a signature to get an initiative on the ballot. They're going to go ahead and do everything that they can desperately to go ahead and be successful.
Randy Economy is a political consultant who has worked on ballot campaigns.
Signature gatherers can get paid. That's pretty standard practice. But when you start paying individual people for their signatures, especially people who are down and out in their luck, that borderline on criminal.
Under California law, according to the state, it's illegal to give money or other valuable consideration to another in exchange for their signature on an initiative petition. It is also a crime to circulate any initiative petition known to include forged names.
You only signed 2 of them so far, right?
Yeah. He signed 2 of them. The videographer estimates hundreds signed the petitions.
So remember, first thing you care, they got you. Sign in here.
An initiative spokesman says the circulators were subcontractors, not employees, and demanded that the signatures they gathered be rejected. Brett?
William, thank you.
Wow, man. Going on everywhere. Guarantee it. Okay, what's this? Oh, Joe Kent's letter. Levitt responded to it. What'd she say? Okay. Press secretary here says, there are many false claims in this letter, but let me address one specifically, that Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a bit of a stretch, claiming they posed no threat whatsoever. Like, come on. I mean, at a bare minimum, they've carried out multiple cyber attacks that that have cost us a lot of money, that they've claimed responsibility for, in addition to any number of other attacks of other kinds. At a bare minimum, there's that. Like, I mean, now whether you want to go start a conflict, a war over that or not, that's another thing entirely. But no threat? Like, come on, man. This is the same claim that Democrats and some in the liberal media have been repeating over and over. As President Trump has clearly and explicitly stated, he had strong and compelling evidence that Iran was going to attack the United States first. I would like to see that, to be sure. I would certainly wouldn't mind. I would like to know what exactly it was that precipitated all this. Definitely. This evidence was compiled from many sources and factors. President Trump would never make the decision to deploy military assets against a foreign adversary in a vacuum. Iran is the world's leading sponsor of terrorism, state sponsor of terrorism. The Iranian regime is evil. It proudly killed Americans, waged war against our country, and openly threatened us all the way up to the launch of Operation Epic Fury. Iran was aggressively expanding their short-range ballistic missiles to combine with their naval assets to give themselves immunity, meaning they would have a degree of capabilities that would then give them immunity to hold us and the rest of the world hostage. The regime aimed to use those ballistic missiles as a shield to continue achieving their ultimate goal, nuclear weapons. The president, through his top negotiators, gave the regime every single opportunity to abandon this unacceptable course by permanently giving up their nuclear ambitions in exchange for sanctions relief, free nuclear fuel, and potential economic partnerships with our country. But they would not say yes to peace, because obtaining nuclear weapons was their fundamental goal. President Trump ultimately made the determination that a joint attack with Israel would greatly reduce the risk to American lives that would come from a first strike by the terrorist Iranian regime and address this imminent threat to America's national security interests. All of this led to President Trump arriving at the determination that this military operation was necessary for U.S. national security, which is why he launched the operation. Commander-in-Chief determines what does and does not constitute a threat because he is the one constitutionally empowered to do so. And with the information to make the decision, I suppose. That's what we put him there for. And because the American people went to the ballot box and entrusted him and him alone to make such final judgments. And finally, the absurd allegation that President Trump made this decision based on the influence of others, even foreign countries, is both insulting and laughable. President Trump has been remarkably consistent and said for decades that Iran can never possess a nuclear weapon. As someone who actually witnesses Trump's decision-making process on a daily basis, I can attest to the fact that he's always looking to do so, to do what's in the best interests of the USA, period. Mike a bit hot. Interesting. I don't know why that keeps, Or I've turned this thing down like a dozen times. Guarantee you it's fucking Zoom. Looks probably fine for, oh no, even for YouTube people, it's touch hot. Getting up there a little bit. Okay. Let's adjust Zoom next here. Audio settings, come on. Cranked all the way up. Okay. Let's try 90%. We'll dial it back to 90, 92. There we are. All right. Hopefully that should be a little bit better for all involved. Just let me know. All right, where were we here? I also had it a bit close, so. Okay. Claudia Tenney.
Good morning. Thank you to my colleagues and to everyone here. This is an important piece of legislation. I want to thank everyone here who's supporting it and highlighting it. The Deporting Fraudsters Act addresses a serious problem. Individuals who come to our country and steal from American taxpayers should not be allowed to remain in our country. This legislation ensures that illegal aliens who defraud the United States government or unlawfully receive taxpayer-funded benefits are inadmissible and deportable under federal law. Current immigration law leaves gaps that allow bad actors to exploit public programs without facing appropriate consequences. This bill closes those gaps and ensures individuals who steal benefits intended for needy American citizens face removal. We have already seen why action is needed. Independent journalist Nick Shirley helped expose a massive fraud scheme showing how organized and widespread these scams can become even when oversight fails. Fraud targeting programs like Social Security, SNAP, and Medicare does not affect just a government budget. It harms seniors who spend their lives paying into these programs, working families trying to get ahead, and vulnerable Americans who rely on these resources. This is not an isolated problem. Last fall, I blew the whistle on Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, exposing how one physician in his 80s billed Medicare over $600 million over the course of the Biden administration, basically from 21 through 2024, with 95% of billings concentrated in the Los Angeles County area. That level of abuse is unacceptable and underscores how vulnerable these programs are without strong accountability. Entering this country illegally is already a crime. Turning programs meant to help our truly needy citizens into vehicles for large-scale fraud is even worse. Those who steal from hardworking Americans must be held accountable and should not be allowed to remain in the United States. The Deporting Fraudsters Act restores fairness, protects taxpayer dollars, and reinforces the rule of law. I'm here today to support this legislation and look forward to working with my colleagues to make sure we get it across the finish line.
Scalise, no.
We have a Department of Homeland Security. It was created in the wake of 9/11. Democrats are operating like it's September 10th, before 9/11 happened. They want to repeat those mistakes by shutting that critical department down at a heightened level of security. We've seen the terrorist attacks here on our homeland. We know what's going on, and yet Democrats have voted to shut that department down because they don't care about American people. They don't care about families. People are missing flights. People are going without pay while working. Hundreds of them have quit. TSA workers that just said, I can't do this anymore. I've got a family to feed. I've got to go get a stable job. And working for the federal government under Democrats' crazy radical chaos is just not a place where they can be. They're real victims in the Democrats' dangerous game. We have a Department of Homeland Security. It was created in the wake of 9/11. Democrats are operating like it's September 10th, before 9/11 happened. They want to repeat those mistakes by shutting that critical department down at a heightened level of security. We've seen the terrorist attacks here on our homeland. We know what's going on, and yet Democrats have voted to shut that department down because they don't care about American people. They don't care about families. People are missing flights. People are going without pay while working. Hundreds of them have quit. TSA workers that just said, I can't do this anymore. I've got a family to feed. I've got to go get a stable job. And working for the federal government under Democrats' crazy radical chaos is just not a place where they can be. They're real victims in the Democrats' dangerous game. We have a Department of Homeland Security. It was created in the wake of 9/11. Democrats.
I'm sorry, I let that loop like a jackhole. That's my bad.
Citizen from Sierra Leone, convicted of attempting to support ISIS in 2016.
What's his name?
Released from prison early by the Biden administration in 2024, only to carry out a terrorist attack in 2026. The writing was on the wall. Yet the Biden administration's soft on terrorism policies and our nation's current immigration laws let this ISIS-affiliated individual stay in America and walk free. An American life was lost as a direct result. It's common sense that any naturalized citizen who joins or supports a designated terrorist organization should be denaturalized and deported. But under current law, it's virtually impossible to do so. That's why Senator Eric Schmitt and I introduced the SCAM Act earlier this year. This legislation will make it easier to strip terrorists of their citizenship and ship them back to where they came from. It's simple. Terrorists do not belong on U.S. soil, naturalized or not.
Jenny Beth Martin on the process of navigating Senate procedure and passing the SAVE Act. Oh, I guarantee you it's a train wreck.
I think that there are people in your audience who are probably skeptical of this process and they don't trust it. And I understand that because we are conditioned because of the actions of the leadership and the establishment for so long, we are conditioned not to trust them. And I think you always have to trust and verify. So people don't worry, I haven't lost my mind when I earlier was saying that I appreciate what Thune has done. But we also have to understand, if we want this bill to pass into law, it has to move through the Senate. And that means Thune has to do something. And when he does what we're asking, I think he deserves the credit for doing that. It doesn't mean we don't keep an eye on it, but that's what's happening. So right now, they're just basically filling time, and they're giving some speeches, and people are flying into DC, and both sides, Republicans and Democrats, are behind the scenes counting how many senators are in so they know how many people are present to vote. And that's part of what's going on. At some point, it should be later today, it could be tomorrow, but it should be today. Senator Thune is going to proceed to begin. And the language that I had that up, he's going to use is that he's going to say that there is a motion to lay before the Senate a message from the House. That's when we know he's actually beginning this process. But in that same breath, in that same paragraph, he's also going to talk about, and I have to look in my notes because I'm not a Senate expert, he's going to talk about a motion to amend, and a motion to concur, and a motion to refer to committee, a motion to instruct the said committee, a motion to refer to instruct the referral of the committee. I don't know. It gets a little bit complicated, but there are going to be a whole bunch of motions all tied to this underlying bill that is the Save America Act. The one right after the bill for the Save America Act is an amendment that replaces what's in the existing Save America Act with the new language that President Trump wants. So it'll be saving American voters, saving American sports, and saving American children. Then it's a bunch of other motions. Now, the way this was explained to me is to think of it this way. Imagine those old cartoons where a cartoon character is falling off of a building. And there are a bunch of people who are holding sheets out to try to break his fall. And he hits the first sheet and he plows right through it, and he hits the second one and he plows through it, and he keeps going. And finally, at the very bottom, the sheet holds, it breaks his fall, and he doesn't get hurt. All those other motions are like the sheets and the fall. And so they are all there designed to protect the underlying motion, which is the amendment that we want, that is the Save America Act, with President Trump's changes to it. And there will be cloture votes along the way on those different motions. And we have to be prepared for that. It doesn't mean that when those cloture votes are happening that the world is ending. It's just part of the process to eventually get us to the point where we can have cloture on the final bill. Now, between the final bill and when that first, the guy starts falling and starts to begin to hit the sheets, we have a lot of work to do. Our work is to remind the Senate what it means to legislate, because they are used to just bringing a bill forward, knowing they have all the votes, or just doing a perfunctory show vote, and that is it. What we are asking them to do is to actually go legislate, make deals if you have to with Democrats, and get us what we want. Now, whether that will happen or not is still to be seen. I don't know if that will happen or not, but that's part of that process in there. That's why I keep saying you have to call the Democrats. The Democrats have to feel the pressure on this bill, because at the end of the day, I think there are two ways for this to end. It either ends through exhausting time and all of the possible debate, or it ends through a cloture vote to end the debate. And so we're trying to figure out a way to get it to a point, and I guess there's a third way, and it could just be that they table the whole thing. If they table the whole thing, it kills it and it goes away. So we don't want that to happen.
All right. Speaker Johnson on Iran and resignation of counterterrorism.
This morning, former Congressman Joe Kent, who you campaigned for when he ran for Congress, resigned as the director of the Counterterrorism Center. He wrote that he cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. He writes, Iran posed no imminent threat to our nature. It's clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. How do you respond to that and to those other Republicans who say that this war is actually putting foreign interests above domestic interests?
Well, that proposition at the end is clearly wrong. I'm on the Gang of Eight. I got all the briefings. We all understood there was clearly an imminent threat, that Iran was very close to the enrichment of nuclear capability, and they were building missiles at a pace that no one in the region could keep up with. They were far outpacing our allies and friends and us in our defense capability, because we had personnel, installations, members of the armed services, and civilians in the region. Iran was building up ballistic missiles at such a rapid pace, and we knew that their plan was to fire them upon Americans. The commander-in-chief and his administration had a very difficult decision to make. I don't know where Joe Kent is getting his information, but he wasn't in those briefings, clearly, because the Secretary of State, the Secretary of War, and everyone, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Kane, they had exquisite intelligence, and we understood that this was a serious moment for us. Had the president waited, I am personally convinced that we would have mass casualties of Americans, service members and others, and our installations would have been dramatically damaged. And so we had to, the president felt that he had to strike first to prevent those mass casualties. That's a summary. I can't tell you the classified part, but that's a summary that's made public, and it's accurate. Yes, monitor.
Ezra Cohen said this a few times before. As a political appointee, if you disagree with the president, you have a duty to vigorously argue your point in private. Once the commander-in-chief makes his decision, salute and move out. If you cannot execute the decision, you must resign, and do so silently. Respect the weight of the president's responsibility, which was given to him by the people. Do not undermine his ability to carry out his responsibility as CIC. Enough. More than 200 people, mostly teens and, youth. The youths are at it again in DC.
Unfortunately, you had several crimes occur. Video from Saturday night at the Navy Yard in Washington, D.C.
Just a couple odd firearms discharges here and there.
Showed more than 200
kids being kids.
Young people congregating, but unfortunately you had several crimes occur over the course of the night, and the Metropolitan Police Department, U.S. Secret Service, and the National Guard had to respond. There is an 11 p.m. citywide curfew in D.C. 7 days a week for people under the age of 18, and you did see a lot of really young people. In fact, one of the crimes that yielded an arrest was a 15-year-old who shot a firearm into the air just after 9 p.m. on Saturday night. That was after a theft.
Kids being kids is shit.
Stole somebody's, or a group of people stole sneakers and a jacket from somebody who was not hurt. Later on in the evening, you had 2 people assaulted. So this was a night where the Metropolitan Police had to really step up and address crime carried out generally by young people. Now, the DC area used to have
good old youths doing youth stuff.
That his decision was based on the influence of others, even foreign countries, is both insulting and laughable. Now, our own Aisha Hasni reporting that on Background to a senior administration official says that Joe Kent was cut out of POTUS intelligence briefings months ago due to allegations of suspected leaks, and that he has not been part of any Iran planning discussions or briefings at all, which sort of posed the disconnect addressed earlier this morning by the administration, saying that he wasn't privy to the classified information that indeed underscores and proves provides the evidence that Iran was nuclear empowered or about to be. And final quick point that I've referenced Joe Kent's testimony on the Hill many times in 2025 of the 18,000 known terrorists that came through the southern border under the Biden administration's watch in the prior 4 years.
We are still dealing with today, and we will get to that in just a moment. Actually, Harris, he's also sitting there with Ireland. It's a close ally of the United States, and he called out Europe, and he called them out domestically. And he said, if you don't deal with it.
He knows we are looking forward to having an important battle on the floor of the Senate this week on the Save America Act. And obviously the message that came over from the House includes a couple of key components, one of which is that you have to prove citizenship to be able to register to vote in this country. And the second component is that you actually have to show an ID to vote in this country. We think those are both things that are overwhelmingly popular all across this country, no matter what your political party is. And to sort of illustrate, I think, how this issue is something that a lot of people resonate with and connect to, is the fact that pretty much everything you do in your daily life involves showing an ID. Whether it's opening a bank account, getting a hotel room, picking up prescription drugs. You need a card in many cases just to get into a library. I mean, these are things that are just basic, fundamental aspects of our everyday life. We certainly ought to be able to apply them to something as important as voting in this country. And if you think about it, even the Democrats who are complaining loudly about this required a photo ID to get into the Democrat National Convention. And there are a number of our colleagues, Democrat colleagues on the other side of the aisle, who require a photo ID just to attend their official events. So these are issues that are overwhelmingly popular with American people, as is the issue of ensuring that biological males cannot compete in women's sports. We think that is also a no-brainer. It defies common sense not to agree with that, but that is an issue also that we intend to have a conversation about on the floor in the next few days, and we'll look forward to putting the Democrats on record and showing just the lack of common sense that they apply to some of these basic issues where the American people agree with us.
All right, talking to the bot. There we go. Talking to my OpenClaw, man. Background doing work for me. Senator John Barrasso, again, do you present a photo ID to buy a beer? You bet.
10 million illegal immigrants flooded into our country while Joe Biden was president and the Democrats were in charge in the United States Senate and House. And now the Democrats want those same illegal immigrants to have an impact on the elections in the United States. I believe only citizens of the United States should be allowed to vote in American elections, and I believe you should have to present a photo identification card in order to vote. It's common sense. You need to present a photo ID to buy a beer, to board a plane, and to do so many other things that are part of American life. Why not to vote? And the great number of American people agree completely with this, that you should have to have a photo ID and be a citizen in order to vote. The Save America Act is the best way to secure and safely provide elections that represent the viewpoints of the American people. And yet the Democrats in this chamber are going to come to the floor, and each and every one of them is going to stand with the far left, the extreme members of their party, who oppose voter identification with a photo ID. We're going to put every one of them on the record so that everyone in America knows that Republicans support voter ID and Democrats are the party of open borders and illegal voters.
Oopie. Susan Collins votes yay on advancing the SAVE Act. Well, how about that? Pigs do fly. Oh, and Lisa Murkowski, speaking of pigs flying. Oh, well, nope, she voted nay. She was a no. That pig did not fly. DNI and Tulsi Gabbard speaks out after the resignation of Joe Kent.
They're very happy that I'm getting rid of a nuclear.
Oh. Well, here's her post. She said, Donald Trump was overwhelmingly elected by the American people to be our president, commander-in-chief. As our commander-in-chief, he's responsible for determining what is and is not an imminent threat and whether or not to take action he deems necessary to protect, the safety and security of our troops, the American people, and our country. The ODNI is responsible for helping to coordinate and integrate all intelligence to provide the president and commander-in-chief with the best info available to inform his decisions. After carefully reviewing all the information before him, President Trump concluded that the terrorist Islamist regime in Iran posed an imminent threat, and he took action based on that conclusion. Asteroid weighing 7 tons and traveling at 45,000 miles an hour zoomed over the skies of Cleveland and Pennsylvania as a meteor today, causing a loud boom that some residents mistook for an explosion. Wasn't there another, massive one in, Turkey or somewhere in the Middle East? Somewhere. There was that freaking thing. It was really neat. None of these. I don't know. It's rather dramatic. That's it. Yeah, it was Turkey. Come on now. There it is. There it is. Whole bunch. Turkey, Australia, Ohio, and Pennsylvania in the past week. We need... That's the one in Turkey the other day. Let me see the Pennsylvania one here. What? This. Claude Desktop, huh? Featuring Claude coworkers research. Oh, so you can message it from your phone, just like OpenClaw. Except you have to pay for this. OpenClaw is open source. And you can use it with whatever you want. Not locked into Anthropic or anyone. All these companies are livid about this. The fact that this guy launched this open source before they were ready. Here's Ohio. Whoa.
Whoa, what the was that? Bro, did I get that on my dash cam?
Yeah, you did. You darn tootin'.
Whoa! Something just burned up in the sky, bro!
That's hilarious. Oh. Out of here. Here's Ohio and PA. There. Here's the boom.
Whoa!
Wow. Apparently caused a loud boom. We don't get to hear it, but review of 50 to 60 million voter records has revealed that there are thousands of ineligible and outdated registrations, including non-citizens, and some of them voted.
50 and 60 million voter records so far, and during this president's tenure, and we have found hundreds of thousands of people who shouldn't be on the voter rolls, people who are dead, people who moved, duplicate registrations. We have also found separately non-citizens on the voter rolls, and so now we're doing our due diligence to identify the extent to which they may or may not have voted. And sometimes people are enrolled on the voter rolls. We've just seen some crazy videos from California that show homeless people being used to sign petitions and register to vote or sign affidavits, could sign ballots for somebody else and fill in. And that's easy when you have a system where there's no voter ID, right, where ballots are being mailed to outdated voting lists. This is not a fiction or a fantasy. Well, Los Angeles County in 2017 agreed with a lawsuit by Judicial Watch that there were over 1 million people in that county alone who should not have been on the voter rolls.
Okay. Behaving. All right. Fetterman votes against advancing the SAVE Act. The Turtle voted yay. California elections fraud cash for ballots part 1. Oh boy. Oh my gosh. Oh boy.
God, we're gonna give you $2. We just need 14 signatures.
The petitioner Brenda Brown hands cash money to the homeless person, not only for signing the California ballot initiative, but also as payment for them to register to vote.
Now, because you haven't registered, I need to register you so I can get paid too. I'm paying you guys, I need to get paid.
That is a federal felony. And it didn't just happen once, it happened over and over and over again. We personally witnessed and covertly filmed this happening at least 28 times over the span of our investigation, and that is just in Los Angeles. Many of the homeless have zero understanding of what it is that they're actually signing.
But what is that petition for? You know? What's the petition for?
The petitioners instruct the homeless to enter made-up addresses like Pinocchio Lane.
Where do I put as my address?
Yeah, just put up. You live on Pinocchio Lane?
Oh, you can just fake it out.
Oh, good.
And all of this occurring just outside the front doors of shelters and NGOs such as Weingart Center, which have received hundreds of millions of dollars in government money. One Weingart employee tells us when and where to find the illegal cash exchanges for signatures outside, and says the cash being given out is coming from a higher source.
Do you know if they provide the money that they're handing out?
Yeah,
the company
that's what they do. When they give the money out, they got to go back and tally up if they stealing the money or not, so they got to have signatures. Most of them be right across the street under that tree. You can check with them Monday through Friday.
While another Weingart employee advises the homeless on how to practice plausible deniability and ignorance of the law.
See, they say ignorance is no excuse for the law. But a lot of times I have to say I didn't know. I had no idea.
Oh, that would be what he should say.
He should say.
Yeah. The petitioners orchestrate an elaborate pyramid scheme of unregistered petition circulators.
If I were to hire you, you would be under me. Yes. I'm under my son, I'm under him, and you under me. So it's like a pyramid game, and really, I don't need you, you need me. I don't need you.
One of the petitioners threatens to attack one of our journalists.
Go down the street, bro, before we move you down the street. I'll knock you out looking right at me. Bro, why are you trying to be like that, bro? Say I won't knock your ass out. Bitch ass nigga, don't come over here again. I'm gonna beat your ass.
And an employee of the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority records not the fraud, but the people exposing it.
That you on camera? Why are you filming? Why are you filming us? I'm with the LAPD.
You know it's a crime to say you're with the police when you're not.
No, I'm not with the LAPD.
Well, that's what you just said 2 minutes ago. Why did you lie? As the NGOs pretended to be the police in order to intimidate us, I began to wonder whether we're still living in America. The Department of Justice has been sent these tapes of election fraud cash exchange for voter registration happening in broad daylight, and we have informed the Department of Justice there are more tapes coming. There will be a new tape dropping every day until someone is arrested or indicted. George Washington said the administration of justice is supposed to be the firmest pillar of government, but if democracy is for sale and there is no accountability as a result of this video, it doesn't matter who is elected. Our notion of freedom is all just an illusion.
Dude. Shit. In Cali, part 1.
Throughout Los Angeles, especially during protests, there are hundreds of petition circulators and activists canvassing on the street to gather thousands of signatures for various petitions with the objective of getting them onto the voting ballot.
We have 13 different statewide petitions. Each one is for a different cause.
Now, which organization are you with?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No,
I don't know. I don't know what organization I'm with. I have to give them a call.
It says we the
Populous.
Populous Inc. is a branch of CO Management Solutions, a campaign consulting firm dedicated to helping important issues make it to the ballot. These political consulting firms receive multi-million-dollar contracts from big businesses such as Uber or Delta Airlines to employ petition circulators and pay them to gather signatures on specific petitions that would benefit their business. These petition circulators are paid per signature, and they're paid surprisingly well.
$7 a signature, $7 a signature, $5 a signature, $4 a signature.
Okay, I got you.
$10 a signature, $10 a signature.
That's pretty good money right there.
That's very good money.
That's big money.
That is like, yes.
And how much money, like, would you make on it?
I make?
Yeah.
I try to make over $1,000 a day.
That's a lot of money. Not only did we find these petitions being pushed on protesters outside City Hall, but we also found them being promoted to the homeless in the depths of Skid Row. So my team and I dressed up as homeless people and went undercover. Before heading out there, I had to get in character.
Lot of pictures. Lot of pictures. Lot of pictures. Lot of pictures. They not the pigeon, I'm the pigeon. They not the pigeon, I'm the pigeon.
We walked a few blocks through Skid Row, past the intersection of San Pedro and 6th Street, and almost immediately, to our surprise, we found petitioners who were actually offering homeless people money in exchange for signatures on the ballot petitions. $2 to be exact, in exchange for their signatures.
Bro, you got a light? Cigarette. You want a cigarette? Bro, you want a cigarette?
We're doing a petition, $2 upset the park. Now we're gonna give you $2.
Oh, it's
we just need 14 signatures.
Oh, what is it for?
Save the parks, save the streets, save basically everything to help save the kids.
Nice. Who's doing it?
We all doing it.
What's the name of the group?
Save the Kids Foundation.
Save the Kids Foundation? Oh, is it like voting or is it like
everything?
Notice the $20 bill pinned to this man's shirt. This is a signal to all nearby homeless people that he is a source of the money. Paying citizens to sign petitions is a violation of California Elections Code 18603, which states, quote, every person who offers or gives money or other valuable consideration to another in exchange for his or her signature on a state, county, municipal, or district initiative, referendum, or recall petition is guilty of a misdemeanor.
What?
Sign a petition, get a free cigarette.
One cigarette? Well, I just need one signature right here and right here. You get 2 cigarettes.
But it wasn't just cash that we saw exchanged for signatures. We also saw the homeless being bribed with cigarettes and even drugs, marijuana, and all of that is considered valuable consideration. And according to the petitioner that we spoke with earlier, it would be a crime just to give out water to anyone who is signing petitions. Now, you don't give people money to sign it.
That's illegal.
Oh, that's illegal.
I can't even hand out water.
Really? You can't even hand out water? It's very hot in Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it's like voter ID, or no, not voter ID. It's voter fraud that they will call it.
Voter fraud?
Yeah, you're basically enticing somebody. Hey, if you sign all these, I'll give you a free water.
Our undercover journalist continued to engage with this group in Skid Row and found the majority of homeless people who were being paid to sign, as you might expect, didn't even know what it was they were signing.
What are we doing?
$3 petitions. You're gonna sign 9 papers with your signature,
And what is
date,
it?
address, and then after 9, they're gonna give you additional 1 more to sign. After that 1 more, you get $3.
But what is our petition for? You know
What's the petition for?
we getting.
What is the petition? I do not know.
They were also encouraging the homeless to just make up random addresses, such as Pinocchio Lane.
Where do I put as my address?
Yeah, just put up. You live on Pinocchio Lane?
Oh.
Oh, you can just take it out.
Oh, good.
This woman, named Brenda Brown, acknowledges that if the person signing isn't a registered voter, she won't get paid $7 for the signature.
Is this additional money?
Now, because you haven't registered, I need to register you so I can get paid too.
I'm paying you guys. I need to get paid. Come on.
Brenda Brown also has a stack of voter registration forms so she can get the homeless people to first register to vote.
I'm paying you guys. I need to get paid. Come on. Listen, darling, listen.
The petitioner, Brenda Brown, then hands cash money to the homeless person, not only for signing the California ballot initiative, but also as payment for them to register to vote. That is a federal felony, 52 U.S.C. 10307. Whoever knowingly or willfully pays or offers to pay or accepts payment for registration to vote shall be fined not more than $10,000 and imprisoned not more than 5 years. You can pay workers to circulate petitions, but you cannot give someone cash money to make them register to vote. You can actually see in the hands of the fraudster a copy of the California voter registration card. And this didn't just happen once. It happened over and over and over and over again. We witnessed it 28 times on video. We spoke to a nearby homeless person who claims the petitioners are scheming and seems to be very aware that they're taking advantage of the homeless population's desperation.
They scheming, man. I don't like it. See, I don't care. I turn their ass in because I don't like that shit. I mean, we out here poor as fuck. Y'all working, you get paid for doing it. And then if you got weed, somebody that like weed, they keep it all of it. They get number weed out. Fuck that, I can buy my own weed.
One of our journalists must have asked one too many questions because eventually the petitioner threatened to, quote, move him down the street and proceeded to follow, threatening to, quote, beat his ass.
I don't have a California address.
Find somebody, one of your homies or something like that, want to come bring them to us.
If I bring them to you, then I could get a cigarette too, though?
It really irritates me.
But why are you so fucking hostile,
This
bro?
my petition. This my petition. It's not even his. You asking the wrong nigga. This my shit. So you asking the wrong nigga anyway. So
if I just start new, I come back and I just tell you.
Just go down the street, bro, before we move you down the street. Yeah, it's really like that, bro. I'll knock you out looking right at me. I'll knock you out looking right at me.
Bro, why are you trying to be like that, bro? I just want a cigarette.
Say I won't knock your ass out. Bitch ass nigga, don't come over here again. I'm gonna beat your ass.
Previously, in 2019, 9 individuals were prosecuted by the Los Angeles DA for this exact crime. They were exchanging cigarettes and cash for petition signatures, but none of it was on video, and it wasn't captured to this extent. There were 14 counts, primarily focused around payment for signatures, a violation of that California Elections Code 18603, claiming they had, quote, offered or gave money or other valuable consideration to another in exchange for his or her signature. So we found it particularly ironic that 2 police officers sitting nearby weren't even aware that this was a state or federal crime. Instead, Officer Maravilla of the LAPD dismissed it as a, quote, civil lawsuit.
Do you know a lot of these people here that are making homeless sign petitions and paying cash for it?
I haven't seen them. I mean, I've seen when they signed some type of paperwork, but I didn't know what they were doing. And I saw them at that, right here at the light over here in the back.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what it was for. Like maybe like 2 weeks ago, I saw them signing for something, but I didn't know if they were getting like money in exchange or anything.
Yeah, I think they're getting like $2-3 from what I observe. Yeah. Is that legal?
I mean, if it's non-profit, I mean, they're signing it. It's a consensual. It's more of a civil thing, you know. Like they're not telling them no, and maybe if they promise them something and they don't get it, it would be like a civil lawsuit type thing.
The law enforcement officers sitting nearby on Skid Row every single day don't know the California laws and plead ignorance. It begs the question, what are they even doing? And directly across the street from all of this is a homeless shelter called the Weingard Center, a, quote, comprehensive human services organization committed to removing barriers that keep people from housing. The 990 tax return shows the Weingard Center received $112 million through various grants in 2022, their latest public return, and that they have over $800 million in net assets. Weingard Center also pays their executives between $400,000 and $600,000 a year. Weingard has been missing their audit deadlines by an alarmingly large and increasing margin, 21 months late last year, with 8 negative findings. An article in LAist states that one of LA's biggest homeless service providers has been awarded over $100 million in taxpayer funds while failing to comply with federal audit mandates. The audits show multiple failures by Weingart Center to properly account for taxpayer money that were not remedied from one year to the next. One of Weingart's primary funding sources is LAHSA, the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority. We couldn't help but wonder, what would people that work for LAHSA say about this voter fraud in Skid Row when directly asked? We attended this special commission meeting to find out. We spoke to Kathy Linga, who says she's seen the people petitioning for money and teaches the prospective fraudster on how to use plausible deniability and to practice ignorance of the law as an excuse.
I think I want to get him little cash right away. They were giving out cash for him to sign petitions.
Okay, so let me just have you meet Brian.
That'd be
if
great.
He can't help you, then go to the next, go to Skid Row and see if there's people out there with clipboards.
With clipboards and see if they will give him the cash for the petitions.
Yes.
And do you think that's okay? I don't want him to get in trouble though. Do you think it's okay for him to sign?
Well, I mean,
do you think that's legal?
We don't even, if they say ignorance is no excuse for the law. But a lot of times I have to say I didn't know. I had no idea.
Yeah.
How would I know? I don't have a TV. I don't have a home. My cell phone only works half the time. How would I know that's against the law? And I can't afford a lawyer to ask.
Oh, that would be what he should say.
He should say.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Somebody's offering you money and you're hungry.
Another Weingart employee, intake coordinator Jason Warren, tells our undercover journalist exactly where and when to find the petitioners who are breaking the law.
I wanted to see if we can get where the petitions that are being signed to get cash so he can get some couple of dollars. Do you know where they are located?
I don't know where those is at. Most times they be outside in the front, or you got to go to the GR building where those at. The GR is going to be on 3rd and 3rd place in Alameda.
What is GR?
GR is General Relief.
Oh.
Most time they be right across the street under that tree. You can check with them Monday through Friday.
Warren also claims the petitioners have to gather a certain amount of signatures and then provide proof to show that they aren't stealing the money, which is apparently provided to them by a higher authority, according to Jason Warren.
But I don't want him to get into any trouble or anything. Is that okay for him to accept cash for signing petitions?
Yeah, it's okay because they're not going to go through his stuff or his stuff. They just want to sign him up to get a name. When they give the money out, they got to go back and tally up if they stealing the money or not. So they got to have signatures.
Oh, got it. Because they give him money to get signatures, but they have to come back with a certain amount.
Because if you come back and your money don't add up to your signature, then they got to come out your pocket.
Got it. So do they also provide? Do you know if they provide the money that they're handing out?
Yeah,
the company
that's what they give up.
We also spoke to an employee from First to Serve, a nonprofit homeless housing operator. His name's Tyson, and he openly acknowledges the existence of this fraudulent petitioning scheme and demonstrates it's an open secret.
What agency are you with? Go ahead.
Oh, First to Serve. Yeah.
So do you just help people hook up?
Yeah, I work at a site, a homeless shelter site.
You know, we all need a little cash, and I was trying to find, those petitioners that are paying for signatures.
Yeah, I heard of that, yeah.
You do? And what do you know? Do you know where they hang out so that I can go to them? I want to get some cash.
I already know the petitioners at. They be all over.
As our undercovers
they be all over and shit.
The petition circulators, we found that most
do be like that.
Even registered with an official campaign. Brenda openly refers to it as a pyramid game.
They can work with me because I do need help. I do go to different places. When I come down here, I have to give them money to encourage them, just to encourage them. You selling your signatures to them, so you're your own boss.
Yeah, but I want to know who the them are because I want to make sure that I'm in the right side. You know what I mean?
Okay, so it's like a pyramid game. If I were to hire you, you would be under me.
Yes.
I'm under my son. I'm under him, and you under me. I would be paying you something right now, like cash. Like you've seen some people working with me.
Yeah.
They work with me. I gave them like $60 right up front when they got through working. So that's how I'm doing my people right now.
When I tell you I'm in, I'm all in. But I need to know who I'm in with.
Okay. Me.
Okay.
I need to know the company.
You can't.
Hey, darling.
You can't. Because you know why you can't? It's not your work. You can't know that. You can't know that.
Gotcha.
Because she signs the work, so she only knows that.
And really, I don't need you. You need me. I don't need you.
The petitioner says the homeless person needs them because the homeless person needs money, emphasizing the desperation they're taking advantage of. And these predator fraudsters operating in broad daylight in a criminal conspiracy are taking advantage of a fundamental American right to vote. And when this is abused, it is a gateway to overturning democratic elections.
We have a petition to impeach Donald Trump. And everybody asked me that too. They asked me that, and they asked me here, and they asked me all the stories. That's one of the main things.
You would think that the people working in these institutions would record or at least talk about the fraud that they witnessed and that we witnessed. But instead, the people working in the homeless institutions started to record us.
Got you on camera? Who are you? Why are you filming? Why are you filming us? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you with? 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 I'm with the LAPD.
I'm sorry?
I'm with the LAPD.
You're with the Los Angeles Police?
Yeah.
Can I see some identification?
Yeah.
Can I see some identification?
Yeah. Can I see yours?
This man first falsely identified with the LAPD in order to intimidate me. Under California law, pretending to be a police officer is a misdemeanor. That's California Penal Code 538D. When I informed the man that this was a crime, he quickly backed down and revealed the truth.
You know it's a crime to say you're with the police when you're not. So tell me, why did you say that you're in the police? Why did you lie?
Who's lying?
You just said that you were the LAPD.
No, I'm not with the LAPD.
Well, that's what you just said 2 minutes ago.
I'm with the LAPD.
Who are you with?
I'm with the Homeless Outreach.
What organization? What organization?
LASA.
What is it called?
LASA.
He reveals that he's with LASA. That's right, the same LASA, the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority. What's interesting about that is that LASA is the organization which provides an overwhelming majority of the funding that Weingart Center receives. And LASA is the organization that Weingart has been failing to deliver their audits to. We found it so alarming that people working for these institutions made an effort to intimidate us out of exposing the fraud that is occurring right on their front doorstep. Back at City Hall, we took a closer look at some of these petitions and found that they were pushing some rather deceptive and predatory measures, including a push for a one-time wealth tax on the wealthy, billionaires, being pushed by Suzanne Jimenez, the Chief of Staff for the United Healthcare Workers of the West.
We have one that taxes billionaires 5%. So
5% tax on billionaires?
One-time tax, 5%, and that's going to go towards healthcare and food service, our food system.
And should we tax the billionaires more, or will they just leave the state?
We should tax them.
To tax them.
Tax the billionaires.
How much fraud is there in the state of California? Order of magnitude.
I have millions, hundreds of millions, I can imagine.
So should we tax the billionaires or get rid of the fraud?
Both.
The billionaires say they're going to leave the state.
But it's impossible to stop fraud. Would have been happening, right? Don't you think?
I guess that's a question about human nature. What are we smoking?
We smoking good cannabis from California.
California cannabis?
California cannabis. They put a lot of taxes on it. I don't know why.
Another petition that caught our attention was sponsored by Delta Airlines, United Airlines, and American Hotel and Lodging Association. Top funders, Delta, United, American Hotel. Is this who's funding this?
That's who's funding that specific petition.
Okay.
So each petition is funded by somebody else.
So these are the petitioners, and we want to get the signatures as the protesters come into it. There's a lot of people. The city of LA recently raised the minimum wage for airline and hotel workers to $30 an hour, with a raised standard for health benefits by 2028 in anticipation of the 2026 World Cup and the 2028 Summer Olympics. In response, this particular petition that I'm holding seeks to overturn that. This explains why companies like Delta and United would pay millions to circulate such a petition. And we get paid $4 to $7 per signature. That's a lot of money.
It is.
That's
really
good money.
Yep.
That's great money.
That's why it's like, I make really good money. I get to push things that I believe in.
Yeah.
So.
As this man told me he gets to, quote, push things that he believes in, I couldn't help but wonder if he was aware that the petition I was currently holding was an endeavor to lower minimum wage for hotel workers who are about to be slammed by the World Cup and Summer Olympics. We found that the validity of the signatures had been contested with allegations that signature gatherers had, quote, egregious misrepresentation of the content and effect of the referendum petition, even stating that referendum circulators circulators have, quote, repeatedly misrepresented to voters they're signing a referendum to increase the minimum wage, the very opposite of what the referendum would do. We even found some people commenting on social media backing up this accusation. One comment read, 2 separate petitioners lied about their petition said. One of them said, we're trying to get a vote on raising the minimum wage. The second guy said, we're trying to vote to allow the hotel workers $30 an hour. But the petition is for a vote on overturning the already approved raised minimum wage. I even read it to the second guy word for word, and he tried to disagree with what was on his own petition. Misrepresenting the contents of a ballot petition is a violation of another California Elections Code law, 18600, which states every person is guilty of a misdemeanor who willfully and knowingly circulates, publishes, or exhibits any false statement or misrepresentation concerning the contents, purport, or effect of any state, local initiative, or recall petition. We also found a petition funded by Uber to, quote, raise the burden of proof for injury victims and limit the amounts they may recover. And Uber is also behind this too a little bit, yeah.
Uber is behind the car accident victims for lawyers.
Car accident victim for lawyers,
so
yeah.
Basically making sure that if you're involved in a car accident, you take home 75% of what the court says you're supposed to.
But notice that this petition circulator, who is paid per signature, neglects to mention that the petition endeavors to limit the medical expenses that victims of automobile accidents may recover and raise their burden of proof. He instead focuses on the claim that the victims would retain 75% of their settlement, a settlement that likely wouldn't even fully cover their medical expenses were this ballot to go through in Uber's favor. According to an article by the publication City Watch, a more affordable California receives its funding from Uber Technologies Incorporated, Initiative 250022A1. The so-called Protecting Automobile Accident Victims from Attorney Self-Dealing Act is simply an end play by Uber to preserve its profits by significantly reducing its exposure when their autonomous vehicles injure Californians by deliberately diverting attention away from their own safety obligations.
How much are you going to pay him?
I'm giving him $2 right now for whatever he gives.
$2.
Yeah.
But how many signatures is he signing?
He's doing as many as I give him.
And it's $2.
I'm giving him $2.
And here you see that Brenda has the next petition ready, which makes Uber less liable for car accident injuries, all being signed without a second thought by someone who doesn't know or care what the content of the petition is or what they're signing, all because they're given cash. We've reached out to the Department of Justice, the IRS, the Treasury Department, the Governor's Office of California, and the Los Angeles County DA's office for comment. On the eve of this publication, the Los Angeles County District Attorney informed us they're opening a preliminary review and the Public Integrity Division is going to coordinate with us. We also spoke with the President of the United States in person about the contents of this video, and we've been informed the Department of Justice will be taking action. We'll be hopefully having updates shortly, as this is a developing story, and there is more coming. This video is the first investigation being done by a team of citizen journalists all working on the same topic at the same time, but not working for anybody but themselves. The future is not in institutions, but in individuals behaving as a collective. Stay tuned tomorrow for a report from a different citizen journalist on the same topic, and the next day another, and the next day another after that. And stay tuned for next week, where we raise the stakes and the scale of the federal crimes, and we show you things on tape that are so shocking that you won't believe them until you see them. If you're on the inside, please reach out to us on Signal at 914-491-9395 or tips at o'keefemediagroup.com.
Jeez, man.
This video is brought to you by Citizen Journalism Foundation.
Holly, baby. Senate just voted to advance the SAVE Act, 51-48. Time for a total floor takeover and Republican senators drawing out debate for days. Yeah, let's see. All can filibuster. Get it done. Trump White House has just made an offer to the Senate Democrats in exchange for reopening DHS.
Now, we have another bit of news that's just broken. We have a letter here that has been sent by James Blair. He is the Deputy Chief of Staff at the White House, and the borders are Tom Homan, to Susan Collins, who's the chair of the Appropriations Committee. and Katie Britt, the Republican senator from Alabama, who's been working on the DHS funding. And in this letter, they lay out some terms that the Democrats have been asking for. They say that, quote, they will adhere to visible officer ID for, federal officers in immigration raids. They will expand the use of body cameras, and they will limit where they enforce. In other words, they won't go to schools and houses of worship and things like that. This is significant because this is the first time we have seen any movement in weeks on the DHS, shutdown. This has been going on now for more than a month. We don't know that that will result in something, but this is significant because that's the first time we've seen some movement like that by the White House.
Well, it's clear the White House wants to get this done and wants to get DHS funding and TSA funded and all of that, especially in light of the threat that we've seen over the past several days of terrorism and alleged terrorist acts across this country. Chad, does that seem like it might be enough to bridge the gap here and to get that funding flowing again?
Well, again, this is communication between Republicans in the White House, Republicans in the Senate. We have to hear what the Democrats would say. And again, you have to get 60 votes in the Senate. So at some point, they have to get some Democrats, dialed in. We have asked Democrats at the confirmation hearing tomorrow of Markwayne Mullin if he gives certain promises. And if he does, would that possibly break this impasse? And again, I want to
White House has sent a letter to the Hill with changes they're willing to make to DHS to reopen the agency. Quite the distance from what Democrats want, but there's been frustration that the Hill has no idea what's going on, and the admin thinks that this could be enticing to some Dems. New names emerge in Jack Smith's wide-ranging bid for GOP lawmaker phone records. Unearthed emails show. Internal DOJ emails reveal prosecutor Timothy Dury mapped out House and Senate Republicans who had contact with Trump allies like Mark Meadows and Giuliani. And they just spy on them, I guess. Wow. Sought phone records in 2023 for a wide-ranging group of Republican lawmakers. Insane, man. New names include Rep. Brian Babin of Texas, Andy Biggs of Arizona, Lee Zeldin, New York. Now of the EPA. Yes. Oh, did I see more down there? Oops. Gosar. List included Babin, Biggs, Mo Brooks, Matt Gaetz, Paul Gosar, Louis Gohmert, Zeldin, Jody Heiss, among others. Gohmert's chief of staff. 7 senators. Jeez, man. It's like a massive scandal. It's a huge deal. Yet, unfortunately, there's just so much else going on. It's completely by the wayside. Supreme Court Justice John Roberts whines about personal hostility towards judges after President Trump criticizes members of the court for sucking.
In your 2024 year-end report on the judiciary, you wrote that criticism comes with the territory for judges and justices, and that it can be healthy. You've talked about the criticisms that your predecessors encountered. How do you handle criticism of your court or your opinions today?
Well, it does come with the territory. Often, when any of us issue an opinion, there's often a dissent. Usually not, but I mean, people, most opinions, or more opinions than anything else, are unanimous. And that's you get used to the criticism right away. And it can very much be healthy. We don't believe that we're, flawless in any way. And it's important that our decisions are subjected to scrutiny, and they are. The problem sometimes is that the criticism can move from a focus on legal analysis to personalities. And you see from all over, I mean, not just any one political perspective on it, that it's more directed in a personal way, and that, frankly, can be actually quite dangerous. Judges around the country work very hard to get it right, and if they don't, their opinions are subject to criticism.
Oh,
but
I just realized what time it is.
hostility
It's like after 9 o'clock here,
is
or 7 o'clock.
dangerous, and it's got to stop.
Sorry,
Very much.
that is my bad, there, brother. Feel free to holler next time, Sketch. That's my bad, man.
Oh, sorry.
How you doing?
Yeah.
What's up, brother?
No, I'm good.
Lost track of the time there. Yeah, feel free to chime in and just let me know if I do that again.
I was just watching the news with you, man. Like,
cool.
John Roberts, can't stand that guy.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Well, how you been?
Oh, I'm blessed. I've been good.
Good.
I got to work some today, so that's awesome.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah. How about you? You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. About to make a run to the grocery, I guess. Yeah.
X.
Yep. Well, I'll let you get to it, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I'll
have a good
take
show.
it from here.
Adios.
Adios. God bless you.